In today's Leeds news, Gonzales on shortlist, key dates for Leeds, Meslier third choice, Farke on Harrison reception, and today's rumour mill stories on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mikel Antonio and Bilal El Khannouss. Morning folks, welcome back to The View for Monday the 11th of August with your Leeds United news. 7 days to go until Leeds United kick off their Premier League campaign at home to Everton. Lots to get excited about this week. We'll have live streams all week, opposition view, kickoffs for the new look and feel of the channel which will be coming this week and our new crew for this season, as well as match previews and other information over the course of the week. We also launched a new show called The Sunday Sessions, which is an audio only podcast, free on all audio platforms except iTunes right now. We're working on that. There was an issue with it. We're trying to fix that one. But outside of that, it's free on Spotify and all other major audio platforms. And the video is available for our members in the member section. You guys haven't had an awful lot of stuff in the member section, so you'll get that every single week in the video format if you want that. If you want to see that, you can become a member as well. Also, just to say, great to talk to so many people over the course of the weekend and see everyone. It was a really great weekend in Dublin. Leeds pre-season campaign has now come to an end with an undefeated pre-season and two clubs playing in European football next season as well. So not bad, but as you always say, pre-season, you can never read too much into it. But we'll start off today's news and crack on with this. All that stuff's out of the way. And we'll start off with Nicolas Gonzales. And there are 3 weeks left, as I say, until the current summer transfer window closes. And although Leeds have recruited well over the course of this summer, we all saw again this weekend there is a real lack of creativity in that final third. Leeds players they've brought in so far have definitely raised the ceiling and they look a much more solid outfit, but they will need some more creativity if they're going to score goals this season. A striker is said to be very high on Leeds' radar, and if reports over the weekend are to be believed, Leeds are said to be looking for 2 strikers and as well as a winger, a 10 and a fullback cover. So 5 more additions could still come in the next 3 weeks. One name that has been mentioned this weekend by Graham Smith in the Yorkshire Evening Post is Juventus attacker Nicolas Gonzales. And Gonzales is primarily a left winger and is said to have told Juventus he would like a move away from the club this summer. Gonzales has been capped 43 times by Argentina, and he was also a player that Marcelo Bielsa tried to sign for Leeds back in the 2020 campaign. A transfer fee of about £25 million is said to be the likely asking price, which would be within Leeds' threshold given what they were likely to pay for Igor Paixão. The Argentine is known to be a very hard worker. He's a very strong presser and would be of a similar style and maybe even a bit of an upgrade on Manor Solomon from last season. Smith in the Yorkshire Evening Post though did say that at this stage the player is a person of interest to the club and does fit the current recruitment criteria the 49ers seem to be following. He's played in the top 5 European League, he's 27 years of age and he's just shy of 6 foot at 5'11". However, he does have several years left to run on his current contract. Leeds are said to not be the only club interested in him. There is several clubs having a look at him, but at this point it should be said that there is interest from Leeds in the player, but nothing has suggested that Leeds have gone any further with this right now, and it could just be a case of Leeds just making sure no information is getting out after what happened with Igor Paixão. Leeds will need to pick up the pace in the transfer window over the next 3 weeks. Leeds did say the bulk of their bigger signings would get done towards the back end of the window. We're in that back end of the window period right now. 3 weeks left to go. We'll have to see how we get on, but a very interesting player should Leeds decide to make that move for him. Let's talk about some key dates for this season, and as we get closer to the start of the season, there are some key dates to mark in your calendars. And also, just to let everyone know who's new to this channel, we do continue to do daily Leeds news once the transfer window closes. We've done it for 3 years, so all information about the club will continue to come out every single day once the window closes. First up for your calendar is the obvious kick-off date of the season. Monday, the 18th of August, Leeds take on Everton in Elland Road. On then August 23rd, Leeds will take their first away trip as they travel to Arsenal with a 5:30 kick-off. Leeds will then have a Carabao Cup game on either the 26th of August or the 27th. The draw for the Carabao Cup will take place next week. The last game before the international break is August 30th at home to Newcastle with another 5:30 kickoff. And then the transfer window closes Monday, September 1st at 7 p.m. We will have our final hour deadline day stream as we always do coming into that. September 1st to September 9th is the international break. We're already talking about international breaks. I hate them, but there we go. And then Leeds' first game after that international break will be an away trip to take on Fulham on September 13th. So plenty of dates there to stick in your calendar and get excited about over the next coming weeks. Let's move on. Let's talk about Illan Meslier being the third choice keeper at Ellen Road. Now, and as the game kicked off against AC Milan on Saturday, people started to notice that Lucas Perry was wearing the number 1 squad number on the shirt, and Illan Meslier wasn't part of the travelling party. After the game, Daniel Farke was asked about Meslier's omission from the travelling contingent and the significance of Lucas Perry taking his squad number. And Farke has made it pretty clear that Illan Meslier is likely not part of his plans moving forward, but the number change wasn't to disrespect Illan, but more a case of welcoming Lucas Perry to the club. Farke said the following on his decision not to bring Meslier. We decided to play 2 goalkeepers, so it was not necessary for him to travel with us. Lucas Perry is not 100%, yet I wanted to at least give him the experience of the first 45 minutes. Karl Darlow is in the pecking order at the moment ahead of Illan because of his fantastic finish last season and a really good pre-season, so there's no need for me right now to change the pecking order. Farke essentially confirming that Illan Meslier is third choice, but possibly even fourth choice, as he did mention Alex Cairns was third choice at the weekend. But on the decision on the shirt, Farke said the following: "It's not a decision against Illan, it's more of a decision for the confidence of Lucas and to make him welcome and also show why we've signed him. I'm a bit old fashioned. In my generation, the starting 11 wore numbers from 1 to 11, and to have the number 1 not travel with us on the shirt, I would have struggled a little bit, so we decided to give it to Lucas." Illan Meslier's future at Leeds United is still very, very much up in the air, but this move might be something similar to we saw with the public comments around Patrick Bamford, where it tells both players that there isn't a route back into the squad for you. You need to find a move away from the club because you won't be playing football this season. And maybe it is ruthless, but maybe that's what's needed to push them on. Both players will be on a very high salary at Leeds, and from a PSR perspective, Leeds will want to move them on to be able to bring in other players of a high calibre this summer. Another player that we need to speak about is Jack Harrison and his reception at the Aviva over the weekend. And Jack Harrison entered the Aviva pitch to a wall of boos that didn't really subside and continued every time he touched the ball. There was some applause and some cheers towards the end of the game to push back against those boos, but it was still audible throughout the game when he was on the pitch. The context is not just Jack exercising his loan release clause. That was in his contract, and Jack Harrison, whether we like it or not, had every right to exercise that clause. But it's more a case of the comments and stuff that was said once he had moved on to Everton. Harrison, early on in his first season with Everton, was asked about the Everton reception, and he said that it was nice to be appreciated by a fan base, something that was taken as a subtle dig towards Leeds fans and maybe a suggestion that he didn't feel the Leeds fan base appreciated him. The second one was his mum getting caught on camera when an Everton fan shouted at Jack, "Don't go back to Leeds." Her response on camera was, "No fucking chance," which hasn't really helped his situation in any shape or form. After the game, Daniel Farke was asked about Jack Harrison's reception, and he said the following on it: "It was not a surprise, it was expected. It was the first outing in front of such a big Leeds United audience. Our supporters have a right to an opinion. And of course, it was challenging for our supporters for the decisions in the last 2 years. I liked the reaction of the other percentage who clapped to give some support, but it's up to Jack to win everyone over and to show commitment and desire to win duels, and that is the best way forward. It's up to him to convince all of our supporters that he can play an important role for us this season." What maybe wasn't picked up on TV for those who did watch it, and even people who had left the stadium early, was what happened with Jack Harrison once the full-time whistle went. The Leeds United squad gathered in the centre circle, and Jack Harrison broke away from that squad and headed off to applaud the fans who had booed him consistently during the few minutes he was on the pitch. What was interesting was there were no boos back towards Jack Harrison at that point. As he on his own applauded the fans, they applauded back, and maybe that is the first step towards Jack apologising to the fan base. Maybe it was a case of, I hear you, I get it, and we will see what Monday's game brings, as Jack Harrison will go up against his former side Everton and could play a part in the squad moving forward this season. So very much on Jack Harrison. We've seen players come back from this stuff in the past. We'll see if he's able to do that. But yeah, as Daniel Farke said, I would agree with this. The fans have a right to an opinion. It's up to Jack to change everybody else's mind. Let's move into the rumour mill territory, and these are very much pinch of salt territory right now. Take them as they are, and we'll see how we get on. But here we go. We'll start off with the first one, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Current free agent Dominic Calvert-Lewin is rumoured to have held talks with Leeds United as well as other clubs in the last couple of weeks, with some rumours over the course of this weekend even going as far to say that Dominic Calvert-Lewin could be a Leeds United player very, very soon. The 28-year-old is said to have parted company with his agency and shifted to a new agent in order to get a move that he is wanted. And credible reports over the weekend have stated that Leeds are looking to bring in 2 strikers, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin could be seen as one of those to replace the Mateo Joseph hole left in the squad, with priority number 9 Rodrigo Muniz still said to be on Leeds' radar and a primary target once Fulham can complete a move for a striker. 3 Premier League clubs are said to have held talks with Calvert-Lewin: Leeds, Newcastle and Burnley, and Everton themselves did offer Dominic Calvert-Lewin a new deal before he decided he wanted a fresh challenge next season. Calvert-Lewin's injury history will be the likely main detractor for fans at the moment. Calvert-Lewin missed games last season from February till April, and over the past 3 seasons of 132 available games, he played 82 of them, but he did miss 50. The 2022-2023 season was the most injured that he has been, but if the rumour is true and if he can have his injury history behind him, he could be a decent signing for the club. He is still 28 years of age, so very much coming into his prime years. He's over 6 foot in height. He's a very good hold-up striker and has experience in relegation battles. Maybe he just needs a break from the anti-football that Sean Dyche played during his time at Everton. And if his injuries are behind him, maybe you could see some of the form that showed Arsenal interest in him earlier on in his career. Another player to talk about, another free agent, is Michail Antonio, and he has been rumoured to be another option for Leeds United to fill that Mateo Joseph gap for this season. Fulham are also said to have already approached Michail Antonio and have held talks with him about a deal. There is also significant interest from the Saudi Pro League as well as Scotland. Antonio has confirmed that he has held talks with several Premier League clubs around his next move and is said to be okay, fit and healthy following his car crash last season. These links won't probably excite an awful lot of fans, but there is context to be taken into consideration here, in the context of being a Mateo Joseph replacement and filling that gap for potentially a year, and being players that can come in quickly, know the league, the level, and can hit the ground running should all be taken into consideration, and they are not the primary number 9 that Leeds are looking for in this window. The other player that we need to speak about is Bilal El Khannouss, and he is continued to be mentioned as a player of interest for Leeds United. And the attacker had a league opener to remember after getting 2 assists in Leicester's opening game this weekend. But no player in the EFL created more goal-scoring opportunities than Bilal El Khannouss this weekend. Leeds are still said to have acquired about the player, held talks with him and his representatives over the last few weeks, but there's no news on that moving forward, and that could just be down to Leeds locking down information after what happened with Igor Paixão. El Khannouss fits into the Jorginho Rutter situation that Leeds had last season. He started the campaign with Leicester, he started it very well, and there might be some hopes that they can hang on to him. Leeds saw Jorginho Rutter then move to Brighton very late in the window, and that could be what happens with Bilal El Khannouss, and he could be in a similar position. And there are still conflicting reports over whether he does or doesn't have a release clause. Journalists on the continent are saying there is a release clause, but local journalists insist that there isn't a release clause, and Leicester want £30 million for the player. Leeds might be trying to negotiate that down, and that could be what is causing the delay in that move right now. But there is significant interest in him. Tottenham Hotspur are looking at him, but they're also looking at other players as well. So if they get their other targets, that could put Leeds in a much stronger position. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thank you as always for supporting the channel. You can check out the links below if you want to support the channel through Fanatics links. There is a marker over here for the new third kit if you want to buy that. Outside of that, I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Podcast tomorrow night as we kick off our new season campaign on the channel, and then we will have the rebrand information and website information as we get into the week of live streams and get excited about what will be an exciting weekend to remember, hopefully, for Leeds United as we kick off our campaign against Everton on Monday night. Folks, enjoy the rest of your day. I will talk to you really, really soon. Thanks as always for supporting the channel. See you then. Bye.